When it comes to human relationships, most people are barking at the wrong tree. Barking at the wrong tree is an English expression that means you're doing something completely wrong. For example, let's say you have a vacuum cleaner. What do you do with a vacuum cleaner? You put it on the floor, and the part that needs to suck up the dirt, you put that on the floor and you move that part around. Okay, that's how you suck. That is how it hoovers, or it sucks the dirt from the floor into the vacuum cleaner. In a vacuum cleaner, there's something like a sack or a bag in which the dirt will be collected. That's how a vacuum cleaner operates. But what if you have a housewife, for example, that puts the machine on the ground, but she puts the part that needs to suck all the dirt into the air. And she goes with it through the air in the living room, sucking up the dirt. When the husband comes home, the husband tells her, "Wife, stop doing that foolishness. That's not how it works." Yes, the machine is working and it's sucking air, but it doesn't clean the floor. You need to put it on the floor and move it on the floor. That's how you do it. The wife in this case was barking at the wrong tree. So she was operative, thinking she was getting what she needed or what she wanted, but the complete opposite was going on. Now that happens most of the time in worldly relationships. Why? Because their basis is relief seeking. Worldly people in general are seeking relief. That's all they know. That's all they do. They have fancy names for it, they have different methods in doing it, but that's what they're doing, seeking relief, holding on. That is what worldly people are doing. And worldly people, because they're relief seeking, the only thing they're interested in is validation of the self, validation of their own expectations. Rarely do worldly people alter their expectations when faced with facts. You may think that when you come with facts that people will be convinced. Well, psychologists will tell you that often facts will cause people to hold on tighter onto their expectations instead of them letting go of those expectations if the facts prove the contrary. Look, in this message, I want to talk about looking at the bigger picture behind your relationships. Look, don't evaluate relationships based on what you can get out of them. That's relief seeking. Evaluate relationships for what they are and what comes out of them and how it will affect you. When you operate from the base of relief seeking, as worldly people do, you may encounter relationships that you'll enjoy and you want to stay in because you get something out of it, which is relief, which is validation. But it can be that those relationships are destructive for you in the long run. So that what relationships brings to you is harm in the long run. So that relationship is not a good idea to begin with. But you only look at what you could get out of it. And that blinds you from looking at the bigger picture. Okay, let me give an example. Let's say you have buddies during high school. You are in the same setting, you need to finish high school, to go to college or to get a full-time job. That's why that's the mission you all have together. That binds you together as a group. So you have a great time with them then. After that high school phase is over, you're in college. And during college, you meet other people that will work with you in the same field later on. So you form other bonds with other people. Okay? And after college, you now work somewhere in a company or you have your own business. Now you're more in contact with those people. So over time, your relationships changed based on the purpose of them. But let's say now let's say you're in high school now and you think that those people are going to stay with you forever. You're wrong. That's not how it is. Let's say you're in college and you meet people and you think, you know what? During high school, we were just young, naive. Now we are more mature. So the people I meet now, I'm going to stick with them. A lot of young people do that. The people they meet during college, they cling on to them, think these are the people I'm going to stay with, I'm settled. And that's a big trap, let me tell you why. College is just a phase. Some do 4 years honest about it, some longer, due to personal circumstances, but it's just a phase. And through that phase, people change. I'm not saying they change in the sense that they become a completely different individual. Let's say someone used to love fishing. It doesn't mean that eventually they stop love fishing, but it can be that the way they relate to others change. Look, I already mentioned before that worldly people in general, they are relief seekers. But relief seeking isn't, there are many ways of seeking relief. Some do it by abusing alcohol, others by using drugs, others by involving themselves in a lot of charity work. There are many ways in seeking relief. During college years, or I'm saying during adolescent years, people tend to shape themselves based on the circumstances around them. Okay? For example, it can be that in your first year of college you met several friends and it clicked. Okay? Now to your last year of college, you finish your masters, all of you, suddenly you notice a lot of those people, it's as if they're completely different people. Now what happened? You clicked in the first year, but now 3 years have passed. Those people were shaped differently than you do. So you look at the bigger picture. After these college years, all of you will have full-time jobs probably to pay the rent, because very few people go out there to reach your dreams and to manifest wealth and all of that. Very few people do that. The majority of people just go along with the crowds to get a full-time job. So let's say now you plan to operate in a life in abundance, okay? So you get your full-time job just for a while, just to do what you have to do. You take responsibility for your daily life. Those others don't have that vision. For them, their full-time job is all they have. Literally, it's all they have. And they fully depend upon it. So look at the bigger picture. Can you remain in close contact with those people if you have a vision of operating in life in abundance and they only have a vision to be relieved from trouble by sticking to a full-time job? Can you remain in deep contact with those people? No, you can't. Because the moment you will have abundance, the moment you don't have to work that much anymore and you have more spare time, you may think, let me spend some time with those friends. But here's the thing, you can't spend much time with them because you're stuck at their jobs. And that's what they're clinging on to. They're now stuck at performing at the job. So if you have spare time that you, for example, can go for a month to South America, and you think, let me ask some of those friends, no, they won't. They'll tell you, I got a job, or I need to do this, I need to do that. That's what they're holding on to. So look at the bigger picture behind those relationships. You can only have brief interactions with those people because they're so stuck at their full-time jobs. You can go bowling with them, or at weekends you can drink a lot with them. You can discuss about political debates and all of that, but that's how far it goes. To really operate in abundance and looking for solutions, you can't walk with those people. Their vision is different. You get what I'm saying here? And here's the thing, their sense of well-being depends upon the validation they get of being an adult that works all the time and doesn't depend on someone else. So a life of risk, which abundance brings risk with it, they don't want that. So eventually they don't want you either, because they've chosen to get along with the crowd instead of seeking deliverance. Look, seeing the bigger picture behind relationships is simply seeing them for what they are and what they will do to you. I recorded a message before in which I told you to evaluate the people you're in contact with and to ask yourself what those relationships are doing to you, to ask yourself what you are becoming because of your involvement in those relationships. I'm continuing on that message here. See the relationships you're involved in for what they are by putting the long-term perspective in view. Because a lot of folks, not just young people, but young people do this almost of the time. They meet some people, it clicks, and things go well, it all starts off good, and they're hooked, they settle. These are my friends, this is my clique, they become so rejoiced because they found their group or their small circle of people. After a while, they may reduce the circle of people because they want to have a better grip on the people around them. But here's the thing, they don't look at the bigger picture. They don't think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or 15 or 20 years from now. And those relationships started off good because there was a context in which it started off good. They don't think, what if the context changes? Are those people going to relate to me in the same way? Can I continue with those people if the context changes? I've talked about college and high school and college and being employed. I've talked about all of that earlier in this video. Those are different contexts. Some relationships are only beneficial in a certain context. Once the context disappears or the context becomes different, those relationships are not functional and nor beneficial anymore. With beneficial, I mean good for your health, good for your well-being. Some relationships will be, look, if the context changes, evaluate whether those relationships are beneficial or not. Look, there are relationships in which you will get something out of it. The people are fun to be around, the people may help you out and all of that, but they're not beneficial to you. For example, let's say you work at a bank, you're a manager. If that's you, let's say you have friends who are into dealing drugs, maybe soft drugs, but still dealing drugs. You meet up with them, you have a great time, they don't cuss you out, they don't treat you bad and all of that, so you feel great around those people. But here's the thing, you work at the bank, at the financial institution. So people that have criminal ties, they're not going to be beneficial for you. They're going to bring a lot of stuff with them that's going to affect you also. So you look at the bigger picture behind those relationships. You get what I'm saying here? For example, let's say you're going through financial difficulty. That's a common example. And you have people that support you. Well, but you think they're supporting you because they're cheering you up, telling you to keep moving. But you realize that the moment the financial difficulty is over, those people tend to treat you badly. Then you realize that those people wanted to feel good about themselves because they were not in your shoes. They felt good giving you the emotional support, and they gave you emotional support, validate that they were all right. Now that the context has changed, they can't do that anymore. So now they don't see any benefit in having you around anymore. Now they look for someone else to get their narcissistic supply from. Look, when it comes to relationships, always look at the bigger picture. That's it for now. I agree with Christ and be at peace.